Fantano coming at you, hitting you up with another review of the new Clams Casino record, 32 Levels. Cloud rap legend producer Clams Casino, famous for his slow, heavy, syrupy production style, which helped build the careers of people like A$AP Rocky and Lil B. And I think in a way you could also accredit to him the building in popularity of a lot of this really atmospheric, spacey hip-hop production that you hear today in the mainstream. Some of which was produced by him, as Clams Casino has collaborated with some pretty famous artists over the years. And he's also pretty well known for a couple instrumental mixtapes that are very popular. Instrumentals from songs that he had done with other artists. But Clams Casino has been around for a long time. He's been relevant for years, but it's only until now that he's dropping his commercial full-length debut. A record that features a very tight 12 tracks and an additional 12 instrumentals of all the tracks from the album if you get the deluxe version. And this, for better or for worse, is not an instrumental album. In fact, nearly all the songs here feature a slew of vocal guests. People like Vince Staples. His appearance on one track makes for one of my favorite cuts on the record, a truly unapologetic banger. You have Kalela, Mickey Echo, as well as Sam Herring of Future Islands fame and more. And of course A$AP Rocky on this thing. And Lil B has 3 separate appearances, if you don't include the intro track where I'm pretty sure I heard his voice. But by now, you guys are familiar with my usual gripes about producer-curated albums. They're usually not that great, not that concise. The vocal artists that come onto the record don't typically bring their best performances. But for Clams Casino, I will go into this album making an exception, going into this record with a positive outlook, because if there is any producer out there who I would love to hear make a commercial record, it is him, because I do think his sound is so unique, it has been so influential, and maybe he has it in him to put together a good commercial project, especially since he has a trademark sound that he can easily stick to from the beginning to the end of the record. And as to be expected, the entire project here is holistically wavy. The vast atmospheres on this thing remind me of like chapel-sized high ceilings and marble columns. It's the sound of pure majesty. And there's a range of moods and sounds on here, even though many of the tracks feature that slow-mo Clams Casino sound. Some tracks are heavy, even though they move at a glacial pace. They are kind of aggressive, while others are very gentle, melodic, and emotional. You can tell that Clams and his collaborators are clearly trying to pull at some heartstrings on these cuts. Both of these sides are on display on 2 of the Lil B tracks on here, the song Witness, which is the aggressive one of the 2, and then the title track, which I think features one of Lil B's most emotional performances in a while. And there are also moments on this thing where Clams Casino comes out of his comfort zone, or at least shows us a different side of himself that he's not typically putting out there on record. He tries his hand at some alternative R&B on one cut with Sam Do, which features some quickly swelling synthesizer chords and twinkly lead melodies. The song itself is okay. I'm not in love with Sam's voice or anything. He holds his own. Again, the tune doesn't wow me, but still, I do love Clams Casino's heavy production on this thing. If anything, this song shows to me that he can kind of apply his sound to an entirely different genre and it still works. And on the song Back to You, we get a legitimate pop tune on here with a bouncy bass line and some percussion, a great lead vocal melody from Kelly Zetro. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but even though her voice isn't super powerful or showy or anything like that, it's a little cute, reminds me a bit of a Postal Service song. But on the song Into the Fire, Clams Casino pushes so far outside his comfort zone that he's just kind of making, I don't know, something generic. It sounds almost as if another artist were ripping him off or something. The production is just a little nondescript to me. As much as I do like the atmosphere Clams Casino surrounds his tracks with, I do see it as a bit of a crutch for him occasionally, because when he's not relying on it as much to make his songs sound so great and give his songs dynamics, there's not much else to listen to. And the other issue is that there are maybe a few other duds in the track listing here. The intro track doesn't really do that good of a job of setting the tone of this LP all that well. And then the cut featuring both Lil B and A$AP Rocky while it is okay, it's not really the exciting, explosive, volcanic crossover that I think I and many other fans of these two artists had been waiting for. The closer on this thing is pretty beautiful. The interlude track Skull is great, but I just wish it was longer. You know, it would have been great as an instrumental cut. And that's another thing. I think this project could have used some more instrumental cuts. I mean, Clams Casino, he's a producer, he makes great instrumentals. Why not throw an instrumental cut on here too? You know, that aren't just kind of being given to us with the instrumentals in the deluxe version. All that being said though, I think this is a pretty good record. It's not as beautiful or as large and conceptual or ambitious as I was hoping for, but if you've enjoyed Clams Casino's production, it is an enjoyable collection of tracks that shows Clams' versatility and also that he can continue doing what he's known for just as well as he's known for doing it. Oh, and finally, I have to say the Sam Herring track, not as fiery and passionate as I had hoped. But unfortunately, you know, they just played it real low key on that cut. Was hoping it would explode a little bit more toward the end, and Sam would give to us the fiery vocal performance I was crossing my fingers for when this track started. But unfortunately, it didn't end up happening, and the song just ended up being I don't know, a little too low key for my expectations, for my taste, really, because the song does strike me as a little mundane. But that's it for my complaints about this thing. I'm feeling a light to a decent 7 on this record. If you're into Clams Casino, if you've enjoyed any of his production in the past, even if you haven't listened to his instrumental records, don't miss this thing because there are some great cuts on here. Transition. Have you given this Clams Casino record a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best. You're the best. What should I review next? It's sweaty outside. I want to hide in a cooler place. Punch my face. Don't do that. That's not nice. Forever.